What's going on, guys? This is Kaishiro. Welcome back. So for our video today, we're going to cover top 5 rogue decks of August 2023 OCG metagame format. So these are the perennial meta decks or almost meta decks on this format, and these decks are just a shy away from being one of the best decks, but it doesn't make them any lesser because these decks are very good on their own rights and can give you good chances of winning on this format. So without further ado, let's start. Coming at number 5, we have Eldritch Horus. So this is one of the most played control decks on the format, with Eldritch being a very pesky floodgate deck and a very strong grind game deck as well, paired with Horus that can give them access to powerful rank 8 monsters on the game, on the form of Harbinger and Photon Lord. So Eldritch Horus is one of the better decks that you can play and have success on turn 1 because it has access to floodgates, like there can be only one, goes in match, skill drain, those annoying as floodgates that Eldritch can incorporate, paired with a negation from the Horus with Harbinger and Photon Lord. This deck is one of the decks that can really overwhelm many decks on the format with their sheer power on game 1. But the problem is game 2 and 3 where people can side evenly match and red reboot that can easily counter the Eldritch being a trap deck and control deck. It is very prone to board wipe cards like evenly match, and red reboot as well can really make the time hard for Eldritch because they are relying on powerful trap cards on their disposal. But nonetheless, I think it's one of the better control decks to play on the format, on the form of Horus Eldritch, and I think players should give them a try. So at number 5, we have Horus Eldritch. Moving towards the number 4, we have Tyrion's Horus. So another variant of Horus deck right now in the format that has a resurgence on this current metagame with the introduction of Horus from Agov. Tyrion's made them more powerful because Tyrions can have access to Regulus, that is an Omni-Negate on their side of the field, paired with Horus as well that I have said earlier. It can give you access to Photon Lord and something like Harbinger. So you already have two negations just by just having the Tyrions and Horus on your deck. I think it's one of the better decks, and I think this deck can really shine because it can set up multiple negations and also can go second with the Horus engine that supplemented the going second capability of Tyrions, because Horus can have access to powerful going second rank 8 monsters like Dingirisu and something like Draglubion. So I think this deck is a very flexible deck that can go first with negations and can go second as well with powerful high attack monsters of Tyrions and Horus. But the problem of this deck is they are very weak to board wipe and board clearing cards such as Kurikara and something like Droplet and Dark Ruler no more. They will tend to struggle post game 2 and 3 around these cards. And this deck doesn't have inherent outs to back row, so they will definitely struggle against floodgates and also powerful trap cards like Solemn Strike, which is very popular on the Philippines. In our country, there are many back row type of players on this on our meta game. So I think it's one of the problems of Tyrion Horus. But I think this deck is still very powerful when going first because of the negations and can really OTK from the get-go when going second. So at number 4, we have Tyrion's Horus. Moving towards the number 3, we have Sky Striker. So since 2018, Sky Striker is relevant. So it speaks volume on how evergreen this deck because this deck can really adapt, and with the toolbox nature of the deck, patronizing cards like Widow Anchor, Afterburners, Jamming Waves, they have a plethora of options to play when dealing against the variety of the meta, and especially the format right now is pretty much diverse. So it's one of the advantages of Sky Striker that they have multiple options on the deck that can they work around when dealing against the variety of meta on the format. And the deck also has insane draw power with Upstart Goblin, Path of Desires, and also the Engage as well. It can give them a very good card advantages on the grind game. And also, this deck has a very infinite amount of grind game as well with the form of the multi-roll. It can really make the day hard for many meta deck opponents on the format if they cannot close out the game early against Sky Striker with the multi-roll on their disposal. And also the deck has a lot of spaces for the hand trap that they can cater around the meta decks and their local scene, such as Veiler and Ash Blossom, which is very popular right now in the format. Sky Striker can easily play and had advantages of this card on this Sky Striker deck list right now because they have space of 15 to 18, sometimes 12 hand traps on the deck. So they will rely on controlling the tempo of the game using these hand traps to make the game slower by choking the meta decks using these hand traps and outgrinding them on the long game. So yeah, I think it's one of the good attributes of Sky Striker right now. But the problem of this deck is they are very weak to board wipe, such as HFD that can really wipe their back row strategy. And also, Droll and Lockbird is one of the most popular side deck cards on the format to answer purely. Sky Striker also will struggle around Droll and Lockbird because they tend to add 4 card advantages. So I think it's one of the reasons why Sky Striker is not doing that well because Droll and Lockbird is very popular. But I think the deck is pretty much slow. To be honest, I think it's one of the slower decks to play on the format. But if you're a fan of a grind game and slow tempo game, I think Sky Striker is for you. So at number 3, we have Sky Striker. Moving towards the number 2, we have Invoke Dogmatica, Sinful Spoils. So this is one of the most recent innovations of the OCG format with the release of Nadir Servant to 3 and also the Invoke now has 3 Meltdown. This deck is one of the most consistent mid-range decks that you can play, and Invoke Dogmatica got even more better with the introduction of Sinful Spoils that gives them additional form of negation using the Diabel Star Witch Sinful Spoils engine on the deck because you now can protect your Winda from your opponent's board breaking cards and disruptions because you have 2 negations on your field with the Mecha buff from the Invoke and the Sinful Spoils package. You can now protect your Winda, the most annoying win condition right now on the meta. Aside from Rongominad, I think this deck is a very strong deck that can floodgate opponents using the Winda. And I think it's one of the most legitimate win condition right now in the format. Especially the format is centered around special summoning most of the time. And that's just modern Yu-Gi-Oh! In general. But yeah, I think it's one of the traits why Invoke Dogmatica is successful on the OCG metagame right now. Because they can floodgate decks on the format. And Sinful Spells already gives them so much ceiling towards the betterment of the deck. And the problem of this deck is still the same. They're pretty much weak to hand traps like Infinite Impermanence and Ghost Bell as well. Is very popular to answer Labyrinth on the format and Tearlament sometimes. So Ghost Bell can really hurt the Invoke strategy on this format. But nonetheless, I think it's one of the better mid-range decks that you can pilot on this format. So at number 2, we have Invoke Dogmatica Sinful Spoils. Moving towards the number 1, we have Phantom Knights, Horus, Adventurer. So this is one of the most hottest deck right now on the OCG metagame format. Since the last week or this week only, this deck gained success and massive success at that extent. There's a lot of Phantom Knights tops this week paired with Adventurer and Horus because the discard mechanics of the Horus really improves the capacity of the discard mechanics of Phantom Knights because they gain so much value and card advantages when their Phantom Knights monsters are being sent to the graveyard. And also the Adventurer with Rite of Aramiser and Water Enchantress, they also can benefit from that. So this deck can really be a very powerful deck to be reckoned with because aside from setting up Rongominad, which is a very problematic card right now in the format, if you don't have XYZ Encore or you don't have certain strategy to out the Rongominad, you will definitely lose the game from there. And also, the Adventurer and Horus can bait out negations and interruptions so that the Phantom Knights can really shine on preserving their line of plays using these Phantom Knights. Aside from turboing out Rongo, it can also make Apollousa and other type of negations on the board with the Fog Blade and Apollousa as well. And also, the most toxic interaction right now in the format in the Phantom Knight strategy is sales ban into Rongo. When you can declare Rongo using the sales ban, you pretty much win the game from there because Rongo is a very potent card that can really stun and end the game from the moment that Phantom Knights have summoned the Rongo Minad. So I think Konami should address the Rongo Minad on the long process. But I think it's one of the decks that can really surprise the meta on the format. I think if you are going to have the surprise factor on the format, I think you should go for Phantom Knights, Horus, Adventurer due to the Ronguminad Floodgate monster on the format. And also, many players are now taking in Token Collector just to answer the Adventure engine that is very popular right now with Tearlaments. Adventure is one of the staple cards on Tearlaments right now. And also, Phantom Knights as well are gaining popularity and traction. So, Token Collector is the one card that you should look out for when playing this deck. And also, Maxi as well really devastates this deck because this deck are summoning half of their monsters on this single turn. So Maxi is definitely a card to watch out for when playing this deck. And also Nibiru on certain occasions can really end the turn of this deck. But nonetheless, I think this is a very explosive deck that can really shine and a very exciting deck to watch out for and how the deck will perform on the following weeks and how the players will innovate and counter this strategy right now. So at number 1, we have Phantom Knights, Adventurer, Horus. So short recap, at number 5, we have Horus Eldritch. At number 4, we have Tyrion's Horus. At number 3, we have Sky Striker. At number 2, we have Sinful Spoils, Invoke Dogmatica. And at number 1, we have Phantom Knights, Horus, Adventurer. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you do learn a thing or two, and thank you for the continued patronage on my YouTube channel. Hit the subscription button if you're not yet subscribed on my YouTube channel, and hit the like button if you like this kind of content. So see you on the next one. Peace.